exercise 4C and exercise 4D on mixed numbers and ordering fractions on page 196 of the newer blue textbook. So, hopefully you guys are quite familiar with the idea of mixed numbers. Why are they called mixed numbers? Noah? Thank you. It has a mix of a whole number and a proper fraction. Hopefully you guys have already drawn this in your book. We can see over here, 2 3/5, or 2 3/5, is a mixed number because it's a combination of a whole number and a proper fraction. My question for you is, why would you ever use the mixed fraction as opposed to just making a huge improper fraction? I'll tell you right now, this is the same as 13/5. Which one would you prefer to look at? Karake, which one's easier? Sorry? The mixed number? Yeah, why is the mixed number a bit easier? It's more simple? Why? Henry?
Because it shows the whole.
Thank you. Without having to do all this, calculations and expanding and whatever it is, we can just look at this mixed number right here and say, perfect, I know it's over 2. It's between 2 and 3. Perfect. Whereas looking at this one, you have to spend quite a bit of time to try and figure out exactly what the whole number aspect of it is. So a mixed number is a proper fraction and a whole number together. Can anyone remind me, what's the difference between a proper and an improper fraction from last lesson? Okay, Caitlin, you know you weren't here last lesson. What's an improper fraction? Do you know? Emily, do you want to help Caitlin out? No? Brody.
So, one of them is, like, the top one is bigger than
Good.
the small
What's the top number called? Starts with N.
numerator.
Good. And numerator. And the bottom number is called the?
Denominator.
Good. Denominator. So in a proper fraction, the numerator is smaller. So 3 is smaller than 5. However, in a improper, the top number, so the numerator is bigger. Okay, awesome. Let's get into what we're doing today. So we talked about how mixed numbers are whole numbers plus the proper fraction. We can see here, now you don't have to copy this number line down, but what I want you to note is that in the middle, on the black line, you can see that we've got our normal number line. It goes 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. On the top, we have what we call improper fractions. So once I get past 1, let's say we're going to keep it in quarters just to make life easier. Once we get past 1, would you agree that 4 divided by 4 is just 1? Yeah? If I keep going, I get 5/4, 6/4, 7. I can go on for an infinite amount of time. Yeah? I can go on for as long as I want. With our mixed numbers, we start off with our proper fractions. And then as we move on past the value of 1, we have 1 and, let's say, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, or whatever it is. Okay? Does that make sense? So mixed numbers help us see exactly which section it's in without having to change it into another format. Okay, so let's try and figure out how we convert between improper and mixed numbers. Okay, so 3 1/5. You guys have done this in primary school, haven't you? Yes, some of you have done. Okay, if I'm converting 3 1/5 into an improper fraction, I want it to have no number at the front, just the fraction. What's my denominator right now? Noah? 5. So what we can do is we can think about it this way. Would you agree if I said that it's 3 1/5 is the same as 3 plus 1/5? Same thing? We happy with that? Anyone disagree? Okay. How do I write 3 if it's over 5? All I can do is that we know that 3 is the same as 3/1, isn't it? 3 divided by 1 is just 3. I can times the top and the bottom by 5. What's 3 times 5? 15 over 1 times 5. Bam, now we've got two fractions with the same denominator. And so I can just add them together, can't I? So I get 16/5. That's the long way to do it. I don't like doing it that way. I'm going to erase that over here, and I'm going to show you my way of doing it. Okay? So all I do is I say it's 3 1/5. I'm going to multiply these two numbers here. What's 3 times 5? Plus this one? 16. Bam, that's it. So I just multiply the denominator and the whole number, then add whatever numerator we had. Does that kind of make sense? So I'll just show you how I did that in steps. So it's 3 times 5 plus the 1 over the 5, which gives us 16 over 5. Both methods are completely fine. I just prefer doing it this way, and you can do this as well if you'd like. So that was from mixed number to improper fraction. How do we go backwards from improper fraction to mixed number? So I multiplied the denominator and the whole number. What's the opposite of that? No. Awesome. So I've got 11 over 4. How many times do you guys know that 4 goes into 11? Now hopefully you guys are familiar that over, this fraction part, means divide, yeah? So 11 divided by 4, how many times does 4 nicely go into 11? Kenta, how many times does 4 nicely go into 11? So we've got 4, 8. Does it go into the next one? Next one will be 12, wouldn't it? So we're only working with 11. So we know that 4 goes into 11 twice. So I'm going to write 2 here. Kenta, attention over here, thank you. So we've got 2. What is 4 times 2? 8. How much do I have left over, Nabel? 3. So I write 3 over 4. That's it. So I think to myself, how many times does that denominator go into the numerator? In this case, it's 2. And I had 3 left over. So it's 3 over 4. Any questions about that? Well, that's entirety of exercise 4C. So let's do 4D now. Now, once again, you don't have to write all this down. I'll tell you what to write down. Oops. Okay, so for exercise 4D, what we're doing is we are ordering fractions. So all we need to do is remember that ascending means increasing, and descending means we're going down. So if we're ordering fractions, you first want to try to consider equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions again? Lexi? Good. Same value, so the same fraction, but just in a different form. If the numerators are the same, so the numerator is the number on top, and the smaller fraction is the one with the biggest denominator. So if you think about it, a piece of cake, if I only get one piece, would you rather a piece, and let's say you're trying to eat more cake, would you rather a piece of cake that's split 4 ways equally or 10 ways equally? You would prefer the one with cut 4 ways. Exactly right. So in this case, for example, 1 over 7 is less than 1 over 2 because the denominator is bigger in the first example. If the denominator is the same, so the number on the bottom is the same, but the number on the top is smaller, then that becomes the smaller fraction. This is just a general rule of thumb. You're welcome to use it, you don't have to. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to place the correct mathematical symbol, so less than, equals to, or greater than, in between the following pairs of fractions. So 2 over 5. Pretty straightforward. 2 over 5 bigger or 4 over 5 bigger? Xavier.
4 over 5.
Why?
Because the numerator
Yep.
is bigger than the
Good. So if I label this 1, 2, 3, which symbol am I using in this situation?
numbers. Wait,
So I'm saying, you're saying that 4 over 5 is bigger than 2 over 5, aren't you?
yes.
So which symbol should I use? We should be using the first one. Because remember, the alligator eats the bigger one. Remember that stuff? Awesome. What about the second one? Key. 1 over 3 is bigger or 1 over 5 is bigger? Because
if you 1 by 5 is 5 and
okay, so you're taking the equivalent fractions approach. Let's do that. So 1 over 3, how do I change that to be over... Actually, let's take a step back. Sorry. It's 1 over 3 and 1 over 5. Let's try to make the denominators the same. So we can do that by finding the lowest common multiple. What's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5? Hopefully you guys remember your lowest common multiples. Noah. 15. How do I get from 3 to 15? I times it by 5. Good. So I get over 15 because you said 3 times 5. Now, if I times to the bottom, I have to times to the top. So what's 1 times 5? 5. So that's my first fraction. My second fraction, how do I get from 5 to 15? Times by 3, thank you. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the... So 1 times 3 gives me 3. Awesome. Now we've got the same denominator. So, same thing. Which number is bigger? Okay. 5 over 15. So we do one of these symbols, and I write it over here. And we get 1 over 3 is larger than 1 over 5. Now I had one more example. Would you guys like to go through that, or would you guys like to get started? Yeah. I'll go through it, and I won't record it. But if you want to get started, you can, but I want you to do so quietly so the people still going through it can listen in. Any questions? Sweet.